Distinguished speakers and participants, good morning and welcome to the 2025 ADBI Annual Conference. Our theme, Fostering Regional Cooperations and Integrations for Attaining a High-Income Asia, reflects region's most pressing and transformative challenges. We are honored to have you with us as we explore the ideas and solutions for Asia's next phase of growth. Now, I'd like to take you through the house rules. Firstly, for the speakers, please turn off your videos and mic before and after your presentations. Answer your questions directly or through Q&A box. You can raise your hands or type in the chat box if you want to discuss something or ask something. And house rule for the participants or the audience, please type your question in Q&A box located at the bottom. Russian and Mandarin interpretations are available. If the icon is hidden, you can access it from the three-dot menu. Consent to use without permissions or compensations. This event may be photographed, streamed, or video recorded. By attending, accepting connections, or continuing participation in the event, participants thereby consent to possible use of their names, likeness, voice, spoken or written comments, or paper presentations in whatever form in all media publications, video sharing website, recording disseminations, or other external affair purposes for ADB and ADBI institutes without compensations or permission. Disclaimer for presentation. The view expressed in the presentations are the views of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views or policy of Asian Development Bank Institute, the ADBI, Asian Development Bank, its boards of directors, government they represent. ADB and ADBI do not guarantee the accuracy of the data included in the presentations and accepts no responsibility for any consequences of their use. Terminology used may not necessarily be consistent with ADB official term. Now, I invite you all for the photo session. Please open your camera and smile. Jukun-san, will you count 1, 2, 3?
Yes, so please open your video and give us a smile. Okay. 3, 2, 1. One more time, maybe. 3, 2, 1. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Junko-san. Now, for our next sessions, I would like to invite President Kanda to give the opening remarks. President Kanda is the president of Asian Development Bank and chair of its board of directors, and have assumed the office on 24th February 2025. He previously served as a special advisor to Japan Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. During nearly 4 decades of his career at Japan Ministry of Finance, President Kanda held various roles in international affairs, budget management, financial services, and policy planning and coordination. As the Vice Minister of Finance for International Affairs, he played a key role at G7 and G20, addressing issues such as multilateral development bank evolutions, pandemic response, and debt sustainability. President Kanda holds Bachelor's of Law from University of Tokyo and MPhil in Economics from the University of Oxford. Now hereby I invite President Kanda for his opening remarks. It's a recorded presentation.
Good morning and welcome to the 2025 annual conference of the ADB Institute. It is a privilege to join you as we explore a question central to our region's future. How can regional cooperation and integration help our members achieve high-income status? Asia and the Pacific is home to many of the world's middle-income countries. Over recent decades, they have made remarkable progress, lifting millions out of poverty and building dynamic economies. Yet, the next step to high-income status remains difficult. History shows that many countries stall at this stage. Today, the headwinds are strong. Markets are fragmented, infrastructure networks are incomplete, innovation ecosystems are still developing, and demographic and environmental pressures are reshaping growth. Domestic policies alone will not overcome these barriers. That is why regional cooperation and integration must complement national efforts. Cooperation can drive progress in 3 key ways. First, by promoting shared innovation. No country can lead every technological frontier, but pooling resources and knowledge can speed the adoption of digital and clean energy solutions. Second, by expanding markets. Integration creates scale, attracts private investment, and helps firms specialize and compete globally. Third, by coordinating investment, digital and digital infrastructure require cross-border planning and finance. The ASEAN Power Grid, which ADB supports, exemplifies this. It enables countries to share energy resources and strengthen energy security across the region. Deeper integration can also reinforce our region's role in global trade and production networks, making supply chains more resilient, reducing transaction costs, and creating opportunities for economies of every size. We have also seen the limits of going it alone, including rising inequality, environmental strain, and diminishing returns from growth. To sustain progress, strategies must be inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. This is central to ADB's mission. For decades, we have led regional cooperation through flagship progress in Central Asia, the Greater Mekong Sub-region, South Asia, and the Pacific. We have helped build cross-border infrastructure, supported trade facilitation reforms, and financed regional public goods, from disease surveillance to water management. We have implemented reforms that are unlocking $100 billion in additional lending capacity over the next decade. And we have launched innovative finance platforms that de-risk projects and attract private capital, moving development finance from the billions to the trillions required. But success is not measured by numbers. It is measured by impact, by whether people's lives improve. More than 100 economies are classified as middle income. Yet, since the 1990s, only 34 have reached high income status. The challenge is real and stakes are high, but we are not without advantage. Regional cooperation can help overcome barriers that isolated efforts can't. The partnerships we forge today and the integration we deepen will determine whether Asia and the Pacific charts a different path, one where more countries make this critical transition. We have the opportunity. The question is whether we have the will to work together. I am confident the ideas you discuss here will help turn intent into impact. I wish you productive discussions ahead over the next 3 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the excellent opening remarks from President Kanda. Now we move on to the welcoming remarks from Dean Bambang Brodjonegoro. Dean Bambang is an Indonesian national. He is the Dean and CEO of Asian Development Bank Institute. Before joining ADBI in April 2025, he was special advisor to the President of Republic of Indonesia for Economic Affairs and National Development. He served the government of Indonesia in several senior leadership roles from 2011. He was Indonesia's finance minister from 2014 to 2016. He was also the Minister of National Development Planning and Minister of Research and Technology. Besides government and academic position, he also served as the Director General of Islamic Research and Training Institute, Islamic Development Bank. Dean Bambang holds a doctorate and a master's in urban and regional planning from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and bachelor's degree in economics from Faculty of Economics and Business, University of Indonesia, where he was full professor and served as a dean during 2005 to 2009. Now I'd like to hand over the floor to Dean Bambang for the welcoming remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Dil Rahut. Very good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. First of all, on behalf of Asian Development Bank Institute, ADBI, I would like to welcome you to the ADBI 2025 Annual Conference. Like last year, our conference is still being held entirely online. But we have discussion internally to maybe shifting our annual conference from full online this year to hybrid, probably starting next year. And as President Kanda just highlighted, I think Asia today is really struggling to find the next high-income economy from the continent. We know that, as President Kanda mentioned, from the 24 countries that has been able to avoid the middle income trap since 1990s, almost half of them, actually 15 countries, coming from Europe. In fact, Asia is a bit behind in this area. While we remember that in 1990s, we used to have the so-called East Asian miracle, meaning that Asia is always considered as the most dynamic region in the world. However, the fact from the World Development Report 2024 indicating that now Asia has kind of challenged how to find the new source of growth. While if we learn from the European Union, in which 15 countries now becoming high-income economy, majority coming from the Eastern Europe, and they are the new members of European Union. So this fact showing us that regional cooperation and integration might have something to do with the effort to avoid the middle income trap. And of course, when it comes to the regional cooperation and integration, the role of all the members, not only the developing economy, but also the developed economy is very important. And that's the reason why ADBI focusing on regional cooperation integration, or RCI, as the topic for this year's annual conference. Our flagship study that will, to some extent, focus on regional cooperation integration is trying to shaping the Asia's future growth for attaining high-income economy while we are trying to maintain the quality of growth. Charting for prosperity is not necessarily just about a quest of achieving income status or high income status, but more about keeping growth momentum equitable and sustainable. Countries can grow rapidly by utilizing their labor and natural resources endowment while they are operating below their production possibility frontier, or PPF. However, once they hit the frontier, growth momentum might slow and may eventually plateau, unless if productivity continues to improve. That makes the shifting of the PPF upward. RCI might help by creating bigger consumer base, encouraging economies of scale, and attracting investment. It means that RCI could have contributed to shift the PPF outward. It also helps by strengthening supply chains and industrial upgrading. In particular, regional cooperation helps countries to exploit their comparative advantage, link countries to regional production networks, and share technology and best practices. Further, RCI also lets countries to pool research, talent, training, digital capabilities, and even policy experiments. This is actually what EU has been doing that helps the Eastern European becoming high-income economy. And also harmonizing rules, standard, custom process, and digital regulation, and also reduce the transaction cost tax on firms level. To pool resources to establish regional safety nets through financial cooperation, energy pooling, and joint responses to shocks. So, in this case, we can see the proof that yes, some countries in the past, they have worked very hard in order to avoid middle income trap and becoming high income economy. During 1990s, that could happen because we can see that some of the East Asian economies becoming high income economy by especially trying to make adjustment on their internal policy. But as President Kanda mentioned, the headwinds today are very strong. So it means that working internally might not guarantee a country to automatically jump into high income status. Better connectivity with entities beyond national boundaries, share standards, pool knowledge, and international confidence would be the difference makers. On this note, RCI is not just a side project. It is the bridge to expedite our process of shaping our future prosperity. And of course, to support the ADB goal, to help Asian countries, especially middle income Asia, to avoid the middle income trap, ADBI is committed to support the effort through this conference, including about the RCI. So I wish you all, and of course, first I would like to thank all the speakers, including the keynote speakers, including Professor Haruhiko Kuroda, that will be our first keynote speaker, and all the discussion, moderator, and participant to support our ADBI annual conference. So I wish you all a productive discussion ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bambang, for your warm welcoming remarks. We really appreciate making time and also leading our initiative for overcoming middle income trap. With this, now I'd like to move on to invite Professor Kuroda to give the keynote speech. Professor, just to give a brief introductions about Professor Kuroda, he is Alliance Senior Fellow at National Graduate Institutes of Policy Studies, and ADBI Fellow, former President at Asian Development Bank. Professor Kuroda was the governor of the Bank of Japan from March 2013 to April 2023. That's a decade-long service as the governor of the Bank of Japan. Prior to his positions as the governor of Bank of Japan, Professor Kuroda served as the president of Asian Development Bank from 2005 to 2013. He was also the special advisor to the cabinet of the Prime Minister Koizumi, while he was professor at Hitotsubashi University in Tokyo from 2003 to 2005. During his career at Japan's Ministry of Finance from 1967 to 2003, Professor Kuroda's responsibility encompassed field including international finance, tax policy. From 1999 to 2003, he represented the ministry as the Vice Minister of Finance for International Affairs at numerous international monetary conferences such as G7 and G20. Professor Kuroda holds Bachelor's of Arts in Law from the University of Tokyo and Masters of Economics from the Oxford University. Today, Professor Kuroda is going to talk about furthering economic integration in Asia, challenges and prospects. I think there's no one who could talk about these topics other than Professor Kuroda. We are very happy to have you, and we are honored and grateful, Professor Kuroda. So now I would like to hand over the floor to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. I'm very happy to speak at this 2025 Asian Development Bank Institute Annual Conference on fostering regional cooperation and integration for attaining high-income Asia. I would focus on ASEAN plus 3 countries in my presentation, partly because economic integration is proceeding quite substantially among ASEAN plus 3 countries, meaning ASEAN 11 countries plus Japan, China, and Korea. I prepared a small table showing substantial trading relationship among ASEAN plus 3 countries. As you can see, Japan, China, Korea, among themselves have substantial trading relationship, while they have also substantial relationship with ASEAN 11 countries. And ASEAN 11 countries themselves have substantial intra-regional trading relationship. So as far as trade is concerned, ASEAN plus 3 countries are very integrated, or substantial trading relationship made those economies quite integrated. And also, as you know, direct investment, which has been, of course, the largest from Japan, but now China, Korea, they provide substantial direct investment to ASEAN countries. So, as I said, ASEAN plus 3 countries are a natural place for furthering economic integration in Asia. Also, you may know that after the Asian financial crisis in 1997, ASEAN plus 3 finance ministers meeting was created, and also in order to address financial or foreign exchange crisis among ASEAN plus 3 countries, they have established Chenma Initiative, which is now multilateralized with resources of something like $240 billion, which is quite substantial. Already, ASEAN plus 3 countries, their economies have been well integrated, and also already they have crises. So I think it's natural to expect ASEAN plus 3 countries could make further progress by making their trade agreement more comprehensive, like European Union or NAFTA. That is a natural development. Many ASEAN plus 3 countries are hoping to achieve. However, there are some challenges faced by ASEAN plus 3 countries to make substantial or complete economic integration like European Union or NAFTA. As you can see, China really dominates trading relationship among ASEAN plus 3 countries. And China is by far the largest economy in the entire Asia, second largest economy in the world. So any economic integration agreement must include China as chief player or major player among the economic integration agreement. Then will ASEAN plus 3 countries can make comprehensive trade, investment, financial agreement, integration agreement like European Union or NAFTA. As I said, there's some challenges faced by ASEAN plus 3 countries. That is because China is so dominant in ASEAN plus 3 countries, ASEAN plus 3 economies. And as you know, Japan and Korea, as well as most of ASEAN countries, are free market economies with liberal democracies. But China, the largest economy, the major player among ASEAN plus 3 economic integration, China is not a liberal economy. China is a socialist market economy. And the political system is non-democracy. So with the current Chinese economic system, political system, further integration like the European Union or NAFTA are difficult. So ASEAN plus 3 countries may have to wait until the Chinese economy is completely marketized, a free market economy, with a democratic political system. Then, of course, ASEAN plus 3 countries would become a single economic entity like the European Union or the NAFTA. So I think I am not so pessimistic because China has made substantial progress in economic system, economic management, and so on and so forth. So further progress toward free market economy and with political system of democracy, I think could be made in China. But it may take some years before China can make such substantial progress in economic system as well as political system. Until then, I think the ASEAN Plus 3 must wait for the complete economic integration like the European Union or NAFTA. So this is my understanding about the challenges and the prospects about furthering economic integration in Asia, particularly East Asia. And if you include South Asia, Central Asia, and so on and so forth, then challenges may be more substantial, and the entire Asia may not be able to become a single economic entity like the European Union or NAFTA for many years. But again, South Asia, Central Asia, they are also developing quite fast, and the economies are becoming more marketized. So further integration with those economies may be possible in the long run. But at this moment, I think economic integration in Asia should focus on ASEAN Plus 3, which is making actual progress and likely to make further progress in the years to come. That is my understanding about the challenges and prospects of furthering economic integration in Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Kuroda. Now, I'd like to invite question and answer from the floor. Please kindly raise your hands and jump in to ask the questions that you have.
Please.
Please, anyone? Okay. So if there's not, I have being the moderator or the chair of the sessions, Professor Kuroda, and your presence, I'd like to pose a question for you. Since you have shared your thoughts about ASEAN Plus 3, and you have been the president of ADB as well as holding very senior position, what do you think about the prospect of integrations for South Asia? Because I come from South Asia, and I'm very concerned about the future of South Asia in terms of regional integrations. We would be very happy to have your thoughts, Professor.
Yeah. Actually, as you know, ADB promoted economic integration cooperation in ASEAN or ASEAN Plus 3, as well as economic integration and cooperation among South Asian economies like India, Bangladesh, and so on and so forth. I think also the ADB's effort to make economic integration and cooperation among Central Asian republics, that has made also some impact on those economies developing quite fast. But at the same time, as you know, South Asia is completely dominated by India. India is so big and developing so fast, while Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, or Nepal, their economies are relatively small and faced by various challenges inside their economies, recently I participated in debt reduction exercise for Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka has the highest per capita income, about 4,000 US dollars, much higher than in India or Bangladesh. But in the past, Sri Lanka borrowed too much and invested in some sector too much, and Sri Lanka faced with debt problem, defaulting in repaying foreign loans and lending. And so the international community made substantial debt reduction for Sri Lanka. And by far the largest creditor is China. Second largest creditor to Sri Lanka is India. And debt reduction exercise was quite complicated and not so easy. And eventually, of course, creditor made significant debt reduction for Sri Lanka. But I must say that not sufficient. More substantial debt reduction was necessary for the Sri Lankan economy to completely recover from the debt problem. But still, substantial or significant debt reduction was made for Sri Lanka, and that hopefully improved the Sri Lankan economic outlook in coming years. So I think regional economic integration and cooperation in South Asia, Central Asia, and so on and so forth, supported by the ADB, has made some contribution, improving economic performance of those countries. But compared with 7+3 countries or East Asian or Southeast Asian economies, economic cooperation integration in South Asia or Central Asia has not contributed so much as East Asian economic integration and cooperation has made. So I think there are still more efforts to be made by those countries, but also by the ADB for supporting regional economic integration and cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kuroda. We have many questions on the floor. One is from Mr. Jamal, where he's asking, was the process of economic integration in Asia based on formal trade agreement like in Europe? And what would be the role of trade agreement in the future of the region?
Yeah, as you know, in Europe, European economy or European Union is already a single economic unit, because complete free trade, free capital flows, and also free human movement. And in addition, of course, the currency euro was created for the European Union as a whole. And financial regulations have been also harmonized and already substantially unified. So not only trade per se, but investment, capital flow, financial flow, human people's movements, and so on and so forth, European Union has achieved. So European Union is already in some sense single economic entity. In order to achieve such substantial integration, not only trade agreement, but investment, finance, immigration, and so on and so forth, agreement is necessary. So I think we should aim for further integration, not only trade agreement, but as I said, investment, finance, immigration, and so on and so forth. Agreement is are necessary and appropriate, but it may take time to make such a substantial significant agreement, because even 7+3 countries, their economic structure and also investment and financial regulations are different, and so unifying or harmonizing those regulations would not be so easy, as you know. I was involved in the Basel I, Basel II, and Basel III implementation. And as you know, Basel I was promoted by the United States, and Basel II and Basel III were promoted by European Union as well as Japan. And even among BIS members, Basel members, it's not easy to harmonize and unify financial, actually banking regulation. And also you may know that Basel III is not implemented in the United States, not at all. In Japan, Basel III is fully implemented. In European countries, Basel III is partly implemented, but not fully. So I think those agreements, trade, investment, finance, immigration, and so on and so forth, would be quite complicated and challenging to make agreements on those important issues.
Thank you, Professor Kuroda, for really sharing this view on, having an integration which is beyond just trade, but to go with finance and also migrations and many other things to handle the global problems. There are several questions. One question comes from a young student from the US, Reyes Reed. He says, thank you, Kuroda-san. As the US practices more isolationism, what opportunity do you see for ASEAN to strengthen economic cooperation within the region?
Yeah, of course, this issue has been discussed in many international meetings, conferences, and so on and so forth, because so-called Trump tariffs are extraordinary, of course, against WTO rule. And US and other countries, including Asian countries, quite difficult, complicated, and costly. And already the world economy is somewhat divided and so on and so forth after the Ukraine war, and the Trump tariffs made this situation quite significantly worse than before. And so in order to address this kind of situation, one possible way is, of course, to foster free trade among ASEAN plus 3 countries, among Asian countries. I think already ASEAN plus 3 countries are making various efforts to further improve trading agreement and so on and so forth. That is, I think, quite appropriate. But of course, Trump tariffs are so damaging, not only the US economy, but also Asian economies as well. And so unless Trump tariffs are curtailed and abolished, the economic situation could continue to be negatively affected, unfortunately.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Kuroda. We have a question from our panelist, Dr. Sin Yong Park. I don't know, Dr. Sin Yong Park, would you like to pose your question directly? Please, you're most welcome to open your camera and pass on your questions to Professor Kuroda.
Please.
You're muted.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yes.
I can hear you.
Hello, President Kuroda. It's been a while. I was at the ADB for a while, and then we communicated a lot. Actually, just my question is, you did mention a lot about like how ASEAN plus 3 and then Asian economies, in fact, rely heavily on China for the trade integration, and then any trade agreement has to be really like also inclusive of China. But we've seen recently that relying heavily on sort of like a single large economy. I mean, just example, like very recently, again, the China-Japan tension does expose the countries to the geopolitical risk. And what can be done in terms of the new RCI framework that and how regional central bank and then also policymakers could actually respond to these things. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, the recent China's action to restrict rare earth exports, that was quite damaging because China provides almost 90% of rare earths to the world. And of course, this policy was made in order to counter the Trump tariffs. And because of this, Trump tariffs were reduced, particularly against China. And China postponed this rare earth export restriction. But China's rare earth export restriction is not only against the US, but also against the Asian countries. And that postponed for 1 year, but again, some stage may be introduced or reintroduced, and this is a big risk for Asian countries. And already Asian countries are trying to find other places to acquire rare earths, and that is inevitable. And this is one of the so-called China risk. So ASEAN plus 2 countries must prepare for such kind of China risk appearing or reappearing. And so this is a big impediment for further economic cooperation and integration in Asia. That is true, but like the US, China is a big economy, big country with big military power, and no other countries can force US or China to change their policies, unfortunately.
Thank you very much, Professor Kuroda, for sharing your thoughts on heavy reliance or how size can really pose challenges for smaller countries in terms of tradings and also economic relationship. That's really nice. Anyone from the floor would like to take advantage of Professor Kuroda's presence here and open your cameras and raise your questions directly? Please, you're welcome. If any one of you want to take advantage, yes, I can see Dr. Arif Ramayandi. Please, Dr. Arif Ramayandi, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dosan, and thank you very much, Professor Kuroda, for a very clear and insightful presentation. My question is actually very simple, but I think the answer is going to be quite challenging because I'd like to hear your views on how could Asia harness and promote better cooperation going forward, particularly given the current condition that the region is facing right now. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, this is a very significant question raised in the last maybe 30 years or so, since the Asian financial crisis. Until the Asian financial crisis in 1997, there was no significant cooperation system among ASEAN plus 3 countries. But after that, many efforts were made, and initiative is one of them, but also ASEAN became free trade, complete free trade area with further liberalization of finance and investment. And also, of course, Asia was very much affected by the dot-com bubble bursting in the United States in early 2000, and the Lehman shock coming from the United States, and now, in some sense, Trump shock is coming, and in face of these economic and financial shocks coming from the United States, Asian countries are united. In Asian countries have been trying to take a unified position against the U.S. Policies or U.S. Shocks. So I think in a somewhat ironical way, when some shocks, crisis, problems occur, particularly coming from other part of the world, Asian countries are united. The Asian countries trying to make their economies open with each other. So cooperation and coordination has been progressing in face of such economic shocks coming from outside of Asia. I think this is, in some sense, inevitable. And if everything is going well, Asian countries may not try to make economic integration or cooperation enhanced. But when they face with some problems, shocks affecting their economies, naturally they want to address those shocks united and coordinated, and that is the truth. And I hope without such shocks or problems that Asian countries can further strengthen economic cooperation, coordination among themselves. But in reality, that may not be so easy.
Thank you very much, Professor Kuroda. There's a question from the floor, but I also have a very burning question for you. Professor Kuroda, as you know, I mean, unlike Europe, we are not very homogeneous. Asia is a very heterogeneous society in the sense that there are countries which are very, very small, like Bhutan, Nepal, or Pacific Island countries. There are large countries like China, India, also like even Japan, even if it is not in terms of size, but in terms of economics. So how do you, and also there are small integrations like ASEAN, as you said, and Central Asia, South Asia. How do you see, what are the challenges that you see for these countries to come together, the entire Asia?
A few years ago, I was invited by the Nepali government to visit and discuss with how to develop Nepali economies and so on and so forth. And I stayed for nearly a week in Kathmandu and met with politicians, I mean, prime minister, finance minister, central bank governor, even foreign minister, and also private sector people, as well as, of course, a university economist. I lectured at the Nepali University twice when I stayed in Kathmandu. And as you know, Nepali is a small country, but of course, the population is unlike Bhutan. Bhutan population is less than 1 million, but Nepali population is, I think, close to 30 million. And both of them are landlocked countries. They have no seaport. That means that it's very difficult to develop a manufacturing sector. So how to develop in landlocked countries like Nepal? It's bit complicated, I think. Of course, Nepal does produce a lot of agricultural products and export to India. And also, there are many foreign tourists coming to Nepal because Nepal is just in front of Himalayan mountains and beautiful country. But really, to make 30 million Nepali people living comfortable is not so easy. And I understand that nearly 10 million Nepali people go outside to work, mainly India and also some Southeast Asian countries. And even to Japan, in Tokyo, you can meet many Nepali workers at supermarkets and so on and so forth. So I must say that not because Bhutan small, so difficult to develop. I think Bhutan is also a landlocked country. Nepal is also. So I think those landlocked countries are really difficult to develop their economies because manufacturing sector cannot become flourishing in those landlocked countries. The problem is also with Central Asian republics. Central Asian countries are also all landlocked. Some countries are called double landlocked, surrounded by landlocked countries. So difficult for those landlocked countries to develop, and the ADB and international agencies must make those economy to develop with specific policies and support. I mean, it's not like many ASEAN countries, China, and so on, developed by having booming manufacturing sector, but landlocked countries are so difficult. And of course, even in China, Tibet is very difficult to develop. its economy. It's completely landlocked, Himalayan mountains and so on. So anyway, that means that ADB and World Bank and so on and so forth, they must have tailor-made development support for those landlocked countries, small or large, I think.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Kuroda. Actually, we have two more questions on the floor, but then we are running out of time. And I will pass this question to you, and then maybe we'll share it back to the people who have put, because the questions are, I think, very interesting, and from Jenny and from Katerina, but we have to end this session and move forward with the other sessions. I'd like to thank you, Professor Kuroda, for making time for us. We are very privileged and honored to have you. And, you know, it's a great opportunity for us to find time to listen to you and also to hear your very great from your experience. Thank you so much. And we'd like to give you a big hand before we actually let you go. Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you. And also I enjoyed this